Can you tell me a little bit about the way HIPAA works now, what you think is restrictive about it, the ways that you think it needs to change, and it almost sounds like it's maybe overcompensating at the moment right now to account for certain things, because it was a real wild west in terms of like sharing data, in the late 90s and stuff like that. So it almost sounds like they might have like clamped down too hard, maybe, in your opinion.
I don't know if it was that they clamped down too hard. Um, I think that it was working pretty well,
Mm-hmm.
but COVID threw everything into a
Oh
tailspin,
yeah. Yeah.
and it has really changed everything. And I think, and there's going to have to be some changes. There just will, because to be able to do the contact tracing, or to continue doing telehealth, there's just going to be some changes. We're going to see a lot of transformation
Yeah.
in this industry. We've already started seeing it, but we're going to see a lot more in this coming year.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds to me like it almost might require something similar to like GDPR for healthcare, in the sense of like really strictly enforcing like the right to be forgotten and stuff, because there's so much like you say, if we're contact tracing, you're going to be harvesting just a bajillion amounts of data, and you're going to have to find a way to sort of safely dispose of it, I imagine, at a certain point, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you something. This was one of the things that I've learned over my career, is that just because I am paranoid, and I've been trained to be paranoid, to look for potential holes in every single capability, that doesn't equip that people that are not in cybersecurity, they just want to do their jobs, and they just
Yeah.
want to live their lives. And
Right.
um oftentimes, if you ask people, well, what do you think about cybersecurity? How often do you think about it? I actually did this. I asked a lot of people in different verticals, and all of them really came back with very similar responses. And that response was, I only think about cybersecurity when it's inhibiting me from doing my job.
Mm-hmm.
So somewhere in between, we can't be so paranoid that we've taken the steering wheel, the wheels, the seats off of the car,
Right.
because no one's going to steal it, but you can't use it either. So kind of finding that common ground.
Yeah. Has there been, and again, I keep going back to the sort of the doctor side of this, that a lot of the initial HIPAA regulations were like the main stick point was, like you said, people just want to do their jobs, but in this case, like, doctors were so overstretched anyway, that the idea of like implementing this new system, or this new sort of oversight system, was just impossible for them to sort of like sneak into a 16-hour a day. I mean, do you have any thoughts of like how we're going to make these changes without sort of disrupting service across multiple industries?
Well, I think you're going to see managed compliance, managed service companies, which you're already starting to see, that deal strictly with compliance. You're already starting to see specific cloud vendors creating, healthcare clouds.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I think compliance may end up being something that's kind of shifted off frequently
Mm.
to, a third party.
Right.
But again, there are going to be changes, because, especially like you said, the healthcare professionals they're overworked, they're exhausted.
Yeah.
They're dealing with something that we've never really seen before.
Right.
And I'm sure that at the end of a 10-hour day, or 12 or 14 or 16-hour day, that's probably not something that they're thinking about. And
Yeah.
I'm not so sure that it should be something that they have to think about. I think that it
Right.
should be something that, there are third parties, or there are applications, or
Yep.
there are tools that can help take that burden off of them.
Right.
Because, then there's also, no doctor can sift through, hundreds of pages of records and put them in a chronological order. They just don't have time to do that.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's really where bringing together the best of the healthcare profession, which, there are some really great things being done out there, and some really wonderful doctors. But again, they don't have time to do all of that laborious work. And that's where the machines can come in and take some of the heavy lifting off of them.
New episodes of the Cyberwork podcast are available every Monday at 1 p.m. Central. And don't forget to check out our hands-on training series, Cyberwork Applied. Each week, expert Infosec instructors teach you a new cybersecurity skill and show you how that skill applies to real-world scenarios. Go to infosecinstitute.com/learn to stay up to date on all things cyberwork.